we should be collectively prepared. We should be collectively rejecting these narratives that have us thinking we should access this type of patriarchal power because it's always going to end up being used against us. And this is a perfect example because when they put black men,
wait. Should
okay, go ahead.
Should we not want patriarchal power? Like I'm trying to
We never gonna get it.
understand the system. Okay, the
Right.
system has historically been against us. It has always been against us. But when you say that we shouldn't be trying to act, and I was about to just let you have the last word because I know you gotta go.
No.
When you say we shouldn't be trying to access patriarchal power, is like that you lose me right there. Like,
I know
like
I do.
that's essentially
I
saying
do.
that's like
I know I
saying
do.
black. That's like saying black men aren't men. This thing that men get to participate in, that ain't for you, boy. That's I mean, come on, like
That's
that.
literally written into the law, though.
I think we are joined by the man of the hour.
Test.
Yep, I can hear you. What is going on?
I hereby waive my appearance fee for the moment.
Okay, I don't know what your appearance fee is, but you wouldn't getting it right at me. I'm sorry.
Well, I know. It's a running joke. It's a running joke.
Okay.
Just because there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There seems to be different. There's a gradient scale of manosphere figures. Some are just so buffoonish and absurd that I wouldn't dare be seen with them. Okay. And then some, while I have serious disagreements and issues with their perspectives, I peep in on every once in a while. And you just said something. I was like, you know what? Let me just jump in here and get it from the word of mouth. Because one of the things that bothered me about my response from this video was this adherence to the deadbeat daddy myth for black men. But one message that I definitely wanted to like engage with is removing the deadbeat daddy from the pole position of this discourse, because the data I've seen so far, and it seems like we agree on this, indicates that is a minority of black men, even among black men who have sired children.
Yeah, we agree on that. We talk about that a lot over
right
here. Yeah,
and if you get to the end of the video, I kind of engage with that. Like I want you to think about how that image is weaponized against black men and how it's shared, and it becomes the most prominent image of who we are, despite the data and the research saying otherwise. But so we agree on that. Let's keep moving on the video. And while I'm here, y'all are. I'll rock with y'all until my wife gets home. So we got maybe 30 minutes.
All right. Well,
and we can parse through disagreements a little bit.
Well, one major disagreement, because you talk about how, well, you talked about how the image of the deadbeat dad is used against black men. And I'm somebody, I mean, I know you talk about how you're married and you got your kids and everything. I'm somebody who went through a divorce. I got custody of my kids, and grueling, expensive battle. I lost. I basically lost twice. Had to come back again, and I had to. I'm not even going to get into details. My channel getting bigger to the point where I can't even talk about those details. But yeah, it got ugly. It got ugly. But I ended up winning in the end and getting a custody situation that I can accept. Here's the deal. When you talk about that system, and it did seem as this, and this is the part where I was kind of, taking some shots, but we can keep it 100% respectful here. But I was kind of taking some shots because it did seem as if it was an attempt to remove culpability from the woman who's using the system. It's like you're saying, we can't blame her because that's how the system is set up. And what do you think about my argument? That's like saying we can't blame a gun because of the way that the gun is set up or the way that the gun laws are set up. But from a cultural standpoint, we can't criticize doing a drive-by. So we should be able to also equally fight the culture war on something that's happening heavy in the black community, but really all over, where women, yes, they're going to use that system in their favor. They're going to be strong, independent, and working and keeping up with men until they get in the family court, and all of a sudden they're 1950s housewives that need to be protected by the patriarchal system, as you call it. So
yeah, that's crazy.
That's my problem right there.
But so here's
so
within the same logic of why I don't want to waste time giving energy to the deadbeat daddy conversation, I'm not really all that interested in talking about evil baby mama conversations, because we both agree when you was in, like, so I don't know your story, brother, but when you was in court, you had to convince the judge, you had to pay the court, you had to pay the lawyers, you wasn't paying the mother of your children. And so while I agree, and I know brothers I don't even like that have went through this, brothers who I know they went through this because they messed up, but they still didn't deserve to have to work through the law to be in contact with their children. I know that that's a thing, right? My issue is, and especially this is my main criticism of the Black manosphere as a whole. When so you got 30K subscribers. That's pretty big for this space, at least from what I've seen. Like, a lot of dudes got more. I haven't checked your metrics and all that. I'd be a YouTube nerd. I didn't get this big by being talented. So there's what's the word I want to use here? The algorithm is a mysterious thing.
Yes, it is.
Right? The way we build audiences is not as mysterious. And then the way our content moves through communities and through populations is not so mysterious. And I say all this to say, when I pay attention to y'all, certain figures on the manosphere, right? And I hear things I think are important for me to, I'll say, sanitize, and clean up, so to speak. Hold up a second. What's up, baby? Yeah. When I hear things that I think need to reach a further audience, a greater audience, I get frustrated with y'all because y'all have so much energy and heat and smoke for, insert random divester channel with 15 subscribers. Insert I'm just keeping it real. For insert other manosphere dudes you don't like. Like, it's a lot of drama.
Oh, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Yeah,
right. It's a lot of drama peddling and a lot of wasting time and spinning wheels talking about Black women this, Black women that, when none of that holds up to scrutiny for anybody with a system analysis. And so even me being here is an invitation to say, look, I understand why y'all feel the way y'all feel, but y'all are wrong to spend. Y'all are just literally just being inefficient to spend as much time as y'all do talking about blaming and attacking Black women, when some of y'all, not all of y'all, some of y'all know damn well that the real problem is white supremacy and white patriarchy, of which we don't belong to. And brothers don't want to hear that. And I made a point this year. The reason I'm here is, you know what? I'm gonna come out my hole a little bit to just like try to reach a little bit with folks. And that's all I'm saying.
All right. You said a lot. Okay, let me try to circle it back. Okay, we do spend a lot of time talking about the system and the problem. I don't think the biggest problem when we're talking about Black culture at this point in the game, I don't think the biggest problem is white supremacy. I think that system, I think, well, when we talking about family court, that family, the system is the system, the rules are the rules, and I think other cultures don't do things to exploit it as much. Now, as far as your criticism of some channels in this space, and I freely admit I don't even know what this space is anymore. But to the people that spend, to people in this space, and this is part of the reason why I don't know what the hell the space is anymore. To the people in this space that spend so much time going after, other people that they disagree with, they got a beef with, they want to fight with this person about this and fight with that person about that. And then, what you said about the divester channels that got 15 subscribers. Yeah, some people do engage in that, and I think that can be goofy at times. But when somebody is making a bad argument, like, for example, I think you said some things in this video, and whether you got 400,000 subs or 1,000 subs, if you say something I disagree with, I don't think nothing wrong with picking it apart and getting it out there. either way. But I do understand that there is a level of inefficiency in how a lot of people in this space do that, and that stunts the growth. And my channel just started growing because I started doing other things to get it out there. So I do understand that. I do understand the criticism of this space and how we are ineffective at getting our message out. And then other people who are not in this space will take many aspects of the message, but just present it better. And then they channels blow up using a lot of stuff that came from the belly of this beast down here, the belly of the beast of the black manosphere. So that is a legit issue that I've talked to a lot of people on, and I'm trying to work out those kinks myself, and trying to embolden other content creators to work out the kinks, those that will listen to me. But my circle in this space has gotten pretty damn small. It's only a few people I talk to at this point, because it do be a bunch of the part that's not bull is our analysis of what we're talking about. That's not bullshit. And there are plenty of parts in the video where you said, I agree. You basically said you agree with our analysis of certain things, but it seemed like you stopped short when the woman is being put in the hot seat. And I said it once, and I'm not going to just beat you over the head with the same statement, but I'll just say this. I'll say this one last time. The system is an inanimate object, essentially. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about kids, we're talking about family court. We're talking about the family court system. Technically, we're talking about an inanimate object. It's like a gun. Somebody has to load it, cock it, aim it, shoot it. If they're loading it, cocking it, aiming it, shooting it to their benefit, and you agree that it's anti-male in practice, that means it's pro them. That means from a cultural standpoint, we can call that out, and that cultural, us stirring the pot of the culture, and I don't know if you agree with my analysis when I said changing the culture, the laws typically follow. So I think what a lot of people try to do, they try to get in the way of us stirring the pot of the culture, because it makes them uncomfortable, because women are being placed firmly in that hot seat and criticized. And that goes back to what I normally say. They want to protect women from criticism, but agree that this is a problem that need to be fixed, but fix it without criticizing our precious women. That's what it comes off to me.
So I can understand that, especially from your perspective within this space where you all feel like women never get the appropriate criticism they deserve. I don't agree. I want to be clear.
They do now, thanks to us.
Well,
mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. We planted the flag. We did it. Yeah.
I don't think that's true. But I want to get off on a tangent. You said something earlier that I think really is the core of my criticism. You talked about the guns and the culture and all that stuff, right? So obviously within African American spaces, we have, air quotes, a culture that is connected to our material conditions, which plays some role in the reproduction of our problems, i.e., street violence, gang violence, whatever, right? But we also know from actual research that if you reduce the guns in a space, you reduce the propensity for violent crime. And so when you say we shouldn't be playing,
hold on.
When you reduce go ahead.
Let me explain to you what I came to understand with that. Mm-hmm. Reducing the guns, criminals are going to always find a way to get a gun in their hands. So if you reduce the guns or make it harder to get the guns, you're basically unarming the law-abiding citizens who want to protect themselves against the bad ones.
I want to be clear. I'm not anti-gun. I own a gun. I've actually used my gun in self-defense. But I know that the total reduction of guns, like the reduction of the access to lethal means, it's a net negative in the activity that is gun violence. And that goes across the board with pretty much any negative thing. Like, for example, I lost train of thought that quick.
Well, hold on. We'll back up and say what you said before.
So my point is,
I gotta stop babysitting my chat room because I'm trying to keep it respectful as possible.
I haven't even looked at the chat.
Good. I'm making sure they keep it clean down there. So just go ahead and repeat the last thing you said, because I can't read the chat and listen at the same time. So go ahead. I'm focusing.
A better way to put it is, while I agree with the analysis, the problem is the interpretation. Mm-hmm. So when you look into, if you do academic research, you do science, you get your degrees, whatever. You read a research paper, they give you the methods, they give you the data, they give you the analysis, and then they give you the discussion. And the discussion is the interpretation. So the interpretation is supposed to follow the data through some type of logical, theoretical framework. And what happens here, and this is partly y'all fault, partly the algorithm's fault, partly just, we live in a patriarchy, so certain voices and certain attitudes are going to get amplified. But what happens here, like, who else has sat here in y'all space and did a 40-minute video explaining how the courts are not just anti-male, but are also pro-rich white men and weaponize women against these marginalized poor men? I haven't seen y'all do that. What I see y'all do is point out baby mama here, really bad black woman here, and say this is the problem. And ain't nobody sat and talked about the fact that Georgia, a state built on white supremacist legal systems, has laws that apply that were built for white slave owners that are in the 1800s that are affecting black single fathers or black co-parenting fathers in 2023. Like, that's not a conversation.
How is the law? Okay, with two things. we do, well, you said it's made to benefit rich white men. I mean, right now we see a lot of rich white men getting just tore out the frame. A lot of rich men get tore out the frame, but we do a long, intense breakdown of what you were talking about. Some better than others. Like BGS will do a whole. I mean, I think you know who he is. You mentioned him.
I'm familiar with BGS.
Okay,
BGS
good.
Is not a fan.
Yeah, I know. But no, but he's one that does long, analytical, empirical breakdowns of things. So
I need to go through his channel and see what he said, because I know, if I'm not mistaken from my research earlier, he has in particular been affected by the court situation. So I'll be waiting. Maybe he'll respond to the video.
Well, it ain't even about his personal stuff. I didn't even know that. If you said he's been personally affected by it, I didn't even know that. He normally takes himself out of it and just does an amoral, pragmatic breakdown of what stuff is. And there's a lot of people they're throwing out names in the chat room right now.
But hold on, somebody said lead, and if I'm not mistaken, lead attorney is telling men not to fight for their children.
Whoa,
is that true?
No, he didn't say that. I'm pretty sure he didn't say that.
I'm a hold that criticism until I can confirm it. But from what I saw in my comments, lead attorney is telling men that it's too costly to fight for their children, so they shouldn't bother. Now, if that's not true, I've heard him say. I hope that's not true.
I've had him on my show a couple times. I've been on his show. I know that he has more sympathy for the men who don't fight than I do, because he basically he and you talked about this in your video, how in this video, in the video that I was reviewing, you talked about it, how for a man who's broke, fighting that system means coming up with money, and lead attorney broke it down to where, especially if you're fighting for custody, especially if you're fighting for 50-50 custody, basically, he said that you're going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do all that just for them to look at you and basically say, nope, you're going to get uncle dad parenting time. That's what I call that every other weekend, Wednesday from 5 to 8. So I do know that he said he understands why some men just pack it in and just throw the cards up in the air and just walk away from the table.
That may have been a mischaracterization. I hope it was, because I just can't imagine abiding by that in any community of black men, to say don't fight at all. Like, I also empathize and understand why some men don't fight. Right? Yeah, I get that. I get that as a concept. I understand what leads to that decision. But I don't think that's just not a healthy sentiment to promote any circumstances. So I'll leave that alone. I'll retract that completely until I actually review that information for myself.
Okay. It was something else you said that kind of slipped my mind, what you said, because I know it was two things that I wanted to get into. I think one of the last things you said, it's probably even the main thing I wanted to get into, is that you depicted a lot of the conversations as people just, I got it. Yeah, people just dumping on, banging on, evil baby mamas. I don't think it necessarily has to even be a situation where we're talking about some evil baby mama. Like, even when there's a marriage, and the man was in the life of his kids, he was raising those kids, he loves those kids, they still get a kiss to the mother 90% of the time. They're basically saying, you're going to get uncle dad parenting time, and you got to pay for these kids that you're being told when you can see. And I think you even referenced that to some degree.
Yeah, I don't think we disagree that the system is in practice anti-male. I don't think we disagree on that. And that's kind of the only reason why I'm here is because this is an issue where we probably have more synergy between, me, the king of the manosphere, and everybody else.
You just called yourself the king of the manosphere?
I'm claiming it until I can wake up one day and not go to my mentions and see 5 or 6 manosphere dudes tagging me in videos.
I don't know if you the biggest. I don't know if you
I'm not.
I don't know if you public enemy number 1. You might you top 10. You top 10.
I gotta be top 5. But I don't know. I give you
I don't
pay enough attention. But that was all. That was jokey jokes. But my point is that between I have a large platform. People try to make it seem like my platform is all white people and black women, which is absurd. And I proved, like, if y'all watched the video, the Max Madison video, I even pulled out my data sheets. And I have a lot of black men who I know are, let's say, between two worlds. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm a radical leftist, y'all know that. But I know brothers in real life that are conservative. I know some of my viewers are conservative. And while I have major issues with conservative thinking and thought, I can put those issues aside to talk about black fatherhood and addressing the needs of black fathers and improving that situation as a whole, because that benefits, my political, that benefits the political world I want to live in. Is to have black fathers be a part of, their kids' lives.
You don't think the left has done a lot of things to incentivize fathers not being in the kids' lives, going all the way back to welfare reform, Great Society Act? I mean, if you go through everything that has ultimately happened that has moved the needle in the wrong direction for black families, it normally comes from the left.
So let's clarify Democrats and liberals from the left. Let's do that first, right? A lot of y'all don't understand that. I'm not a Democrat. I vote Democrat because those only motherfuckers out there that I can vote for, right?
Oh, I feel. Let
me finish.
All right, go ahead.
But I don't support Democrats. I don't believe in democratic policies or whatever. I vote for Democrats like I wipe my ass. When I wash my hands after I use the bathroom. Does that kind of make sense?
No,
it's not something I enjoy doing, but it's a thing to do that's necessary.
We've said on this channel a bunch of times that when we vote, we vote, and black men are voting Democrat, we're voting with a bunch of you probably don't got a problem with them, but we say we voting with a bunch of purple-haired feminists in the policies that enable baby mamas to stay baby mamas. We could either vote with that, or we could vote with the Tiki Torch posse. One or the other. So it's like I say
that shouldn't be a question though, right? Like, one group wants to kill us directly. Like it's like, all right. It's like
I'm not the most hardest core when it comes to this, but I know I got a homeboy who will blow a gasket if I don't mention. When you say one group wants to kill us, he would say that no, the liberal policies is enabling the black woman to kill us in the womb.
Oh,
so I had to get right. I had to get radical on you. I had to get radical, even though I'm not personally radical when it comes to that. But I could hear my homeboy screaming. I could hear my homeboy screaming. Shout out to Lil Big Nate.
I don't want to get. Let's not stray too far.
All right.
Right. But just to be clear. No, actually, we're already too far.
Yeah, we are.
But I just want to put out there that, so first and foremost, I just really want people to understand that when I talk about the left, I'm talking about Fred Hampton. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Kwame Nkrumah, W.E.B. Du Bois. I'm talking about socialists. I'm talking about the original Pan-Africanism before, the United States government and the CIA starts to systematically kill and murder members of the black left. And so a lot of people don't like engage with that. And that's, I just want to be clear. And so like you go far enough left, everybody still got guns. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That said, when we are talking about socialism, we are talking about welfare systems. And I talk about this in a couple of my Manosphere videos, this like framing of social welfare as an attack on the Black community, it just doesn't hold up the scrutiny. Like people always take out the statistic that, excuse me, Black marriages were of a certain percentage, and Black women or Black children were born under wedlock of a certain percentage, and that percentage has gone down drastically since the welfare bills. And that's true, but that percentage has gone down drastically for every race in the country since those bills. And it's because women have more options as to how to choose to live. And I don't have a problem with that. Like, I don't have a problem with baby mamas as long as they are taking care of their kids and are able to take care of their kids. But they're not, I don't have a problem with baby mamas, period. I want them to be able to take care of their kids and like have functional existences in our communities. And like, I don't understand why I can go to a Black Manosphere channel and see 10 videos about baby mamas and like not any videos about this police military facility being built in my backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the thing I will always criticize y'all for, because y'all got intellectuals. It's intellectuals in this space. I say that in my video. You know what I'm saying? That's why I know some of y'all fuck with me on the low, because black men who are intellectuals are a unique experience, a unique fraternity. And we want to connect to that energy. That's why there's a whole, what is it, Signetter?
Well,
whole
I don't think
Signetter space.
Yeah, well, he don't exactly count as a.
Well, I know he don't count. I'm saying, but my point is that there's a desire for Black intellectual activity among men that has always been around. And it just frustrates me that some of y'all have whole channels dedicated to talking about Black women and talking about gynarchy. You know what I'm saying? When you could
gynocracy. I think
gynocracy, trying to give the red pill an academic name, because that's all that is. When you could be like helping to fight the power. What are y'all doing?
I'll say this. There is I would say a pro-Black and intellectual side of the Black manosphere. Like, for example, you're obviously familiar with Dr. Tia Hassan Johnson. And truth be told, that's who you should be talking to. I appreciate you coming up, chopping it up with me. You really should be talking to Dr. Tia Hassan Johnson.
See, here's the thing. I fell out with that particular aspect of the community so hard because Dr. Curry has blocked me on Twitter. And I think, well, I don't know. I don't know what Dr. Johnson's his actual status is within that community, to be honest with you. This is about, so it's the conflict of ideas and it's a conflict of content. Maybe me and Dr. Johnson will talk one day, but like, all right, it'd have to be in a certain space. But
oh yeah, no, definitely. You know, he listen. I don't know how much you know about him, but he's absolutely A1. Y'all will probably have more. Y'all probably will have more in common than what you think. Because when I listen to him, there are some areas. Okay, let me just make it clear. I'm pro-Black in the sense that I would like to see Black people progress, but I think most of the people who wear the title pro-Black, I think I see a lot of them. This is what I think. That's what I see a lot of them doing. They complain about white people and they try to spray cologne or perfume over a lot of the shit in the Black community. You know, somebody stank and they try to just spray some cologne over the funk. It's like that's what I see a lot of people that wear the title pro-Black doing. Dr. Tia Hassan Johnson, he doesn't do that, but there are some areas where, you know, I may part ways with him, but I think you may agree with him. Y'all probably have more common ground in which I think. I'm going to try to do what I can to try to see if I could get y'all to get the two of y'all to talk, because that's really the conversation.
This topic may be the topic that brings me to actually talk to BGS and Dr. T.
Yes,
because I know if there's any men I have the most synergy with, it's probably them. Mm-hmm. I find the whole concept of gynarchy comical. And like I don't want to even like start having to do that fight before we get to the actual conversation. But we'll see. I'm sure this will make its rounds and I'll hear from somebody and maybe I'll pop up. Maybe I'll get another bat signal and I'll jump into somebody's chat. But let's keep going through the video. Let's get to the parts. Let's not make this purely conflicting ideas.
Okay.
Are we still watching the video? I don't know how this works.
No, I said the hell with the video, to be honest, but no, I don't got no issue pulling it back up, because right now you was actually getting to the part where a lot of us will agree with you. You was basically breaking down, the issues with, the issues that men go through, essentially, issues that men go through. So I'll go ahead and roll some more of it.
Is the reality of fatherless children. Most children whose fathers are not in their lives is because those fathers are not that interested in being in their lives. I don't think.
Okay, and I'm glad I could ask you directly. When you said that, you were talking, just to be clear, I think we already talked about this, but just to be clear, you were talking about those that got absolutely positively zero involvement, not no every other weekend. I'm talking if he knocked on the door, the kids got to squint their eyes like to figure out if that is that daddy. If you're talking about that, I agree with you. The ones who
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about we all know one or two of them. If you're lucky, only one maybe, or it's one of your uncles or one of your aunts was married to one of the dudes. That's just a sad reality within all communities. There's a couple of them type of cats.
All right, yeah,
it's untrue. I'm not going to dig into that. So feel free to come and correct me if that's not true on some level. But my experience, my understanding of these systems, the research I've done, that is true. However, when we talk about men that do want to be a part of their children's lives, what we find is a history of essentially laws meant to protect capital, meant to protect money, meant to reinforce gender norms. These laws will definitely stand in the way of men who want to be in their children's lives, and there's a conflict with either their economic situation or the mother of their children that can be used against them to make that much, much, much harder to do. And I think we have to understand that.
Now I wanted to pause it right there. Okay, this is part of the problem that I had when I was just going to be doing a review of the video. When you said those laws are in place to try to uphold gender norms, when every other aspect of American male-female discourse, all the social dynamics between male and female, it's all to try to break the normal gender norms, or so I'm saying, so why do you think that the family court system is the only thing that's kind of de facto faking like they're holding on to traditionalism? Because I don't think it's holding on to traditionalism. If they're trying to break the norms everywhere else but trying to keep it here, that's outright anti-male bias.
That's not the law though, right? So first off, there were 150 anti-trans laws introduced last year that all had to get defeated one by one. The other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, and feel free to correct me, a lot of these laws across the country are being challenged and changed. This is the kind of the thing, I know y'all gonna hate it, but we need more Black men engaging with feminism, because what y'all are missing out on is a tool to actually attack this system. Because I'm just keeping it real.
Hold on,
y'all are gonna hate it.
Time out. Mm-hmm. I've said that on this show before, that the actual true feminist, they agree with us. They want equality. They want 50-50 at birth, 50-50 custody at birth, the true feminists. But the ones who basically own the day, own the discourse, and are the loudest voices in the room, and who normally get their way, are the ones who, they not about that. They just want power in every situation that benefits them.
Imagine if we could turn the misogyny down to a 2 and have some come to Jesus conversations with real feminists.
What was my misogyny at on that?
Well, not you right there. I'm not casting that aspersion upon you specifically. Although, let's be real. Don't let me go through your channel, the videos. Now I'm sure I'll find something.
You're gonna find something.
All right. Well, let's not blow smoke. I'm just saying, as a whole, imagine if we could turn the misogyny down to a 2. If we can take the misogyny from Too Short to the Roots, to Drake. If we can get it down to early Drake, right? Because Drake, but we can get it down to early Drake, and we can have real conversations with Black women and Black feminists and be open to the idea that there are issues that they face that we're not engaging with them on in good faith. We could get so much done working together. That's what the Black Panthers did. The Black Panthers were egalitarian, but as much as they could.
You talking about issues that feminists are facing that we're not engaging them on? Like I'm in a place when I guess I'm got to crank the misogyny up to at least to a 7. I don't give a damn about they issues.
Yeah,
it's
see, like, nah, that's the problem. Why? Because their issues are our issues. You just pointed one out.
How are feminist issues our issues, and their issues are antithetical to ours?
You just talked about the court system. You just talked about the 50. Because if you go through the video, I talk about how the court system putting all the pressure, onus, and challenges on the men is for one specific outcome, which is to infantilize and keep women in the house and out of the workforce. That's what it is.
But every other area of discourse is trying to put them out into the workforce. So really, that goes back to what I said, is that they basically want to have their balls out in every other situation, but when they get in the court against a man, then all of a sudden they turn into a 1950s housewife. And that's obvious. They're obviously doing that on purpose. Like it's not that the family court system is just slow to realize, this country has changed quite a bit. Maybe we should just know.
No, the family court system knows that if it changed the labor of childbearing, 2 children, 2 women, and if it permanently changed the labor of childbearing 2 women, then women can never actually be equal in our society. It knows that. It knows that no matter how many Black Girl Magic commercials you see, or how many marches, or how many whatever, the system, the status quo as we know it, the hegemony, what capitalism, whatever big words you want to use, the situation we both know is going on, knows that men cannot have people born with penises. I want to be clear because I know y'all gonna try to get me on some transgender. There's some people that have wombs are the only people that can birth children, and that the responsibility for nurturing those children and childcare, if it's relegated to them, then there will always be systemic incentives to bar them from the workforce. Why can't we get maternity leave? I'm sorry, paternity leave. We're the only country in the world that doesn't hardly do that at all. Most civilized countries have paternity leave because they.
So your argument essentially is that in a diabolical plot to oppress women, the family court system is fucking men over and essentially taking their kids from them as a backhanded way to oppress women, whereas in every other area we do.
What are these other areas? What are these other areas? That's another thing I gotta challenge you on. What are these other areas aside from media campaigns?
That was going to be the first one, and I talk a lot about that because we just did a show. We were talking about the psyops of basically inceptioning people with ideas like that. I think I put a high premium on that, higher than most, because I think like I always say, wars are won and lost, presidents are elected, and or they don't get reelected, based off propaganda. He who wins the propaganda war, that's who's going to win. So if all the propaganda is essentially basically putting it out there that women should do this, women should do that, and then it's hard to think that the court system is this powerless entity with a lot of power fighting an uphill battle.
It's not powerless at all. Well, it's power in a very intentional way.
What you're saying is fighting an uphill battle to work against all of the modern social norms, and I don't necessarily buy that.
So I don't know what we were going to define as modern social norms. That there's social media, like there's the spheres of influence that we see, and then there's the reality that's presented through data. So it's like that's real loaded. But what we do know is that the courts control these decisions, and that these policies are being challenged and changed across the country. They're just not being challenged and changed everywhere. And so so if you're saying that there's a cultural incentive, a cultural movement for, egalitarianism of the genders, yes, I would agree with you. Now, yes, whether that cultural movement has structural power is another question. And so what I'm saying, and I'm sure we both agree that the structural power trumps the cultural zeitgeist, right? Meaning, like, you can't, like, I could get out here, like 2 years ago, that was out here talking about Black Lives Matter all through the streets. And, you know, people still, like, a dude got tased to death in California a couple of weeks ago. So, like, the structural power is always going to trump whatever the culture is screaming.
Okay, part of that structural power would be, and I get stuff wrong when I talk about this, but you know, Title IX. We talk about Black women, they got the double minority status. There's all kinds of things. You know, I mean, I'm sure you speak heavy on this one. How affirmative act. At least I assume you would speak heavy on how affirmative action. How it went more to white women than to Black men. Yeah, yeah. So those are the structural things that are basically trying to help foster this egalitarian world, mixed with all the social, political, or social media psyops and all of that.
But look how
so when you take all of that, I tend to believe that the court system siding with the woman is not a way to fight against that, but a way to say, we're going to give them power over here in the other areas, and they're going to also have power over the kids, which essentially means that what's that word you don't like? What you said, gynarchy? Hold
on. Repeat what you just said. So, because this is where we get into intersectionality, right? Who is actually benefiting from these things? You just said, you talked about Title IX and affirmative action, two programs that predominantly benefit who? White women, not Black women, and definitely not Black men. And it's Black men who essentially fund Title IX through NCAA, you know, football and basketball. I have a whole video on it. So what you're actually proving is the accuracy of what I'm saying, is that these systems that you're perceiving them because of what they say to benefit women or Black women, but in reality, they only benefit white women and at the cost of Black men and Black women. And then
how are Black women? How are Black women suffering from that?
They don't. Who gets the Title IX? Who gets the affirmative action?
Women, and Black women have a double minority status, don't they?
Black women, but Black women still don't get the Title IX and what's it called though? Do they? It still ends up going to predominantly white women.
Yeah, I don't know the exact stats on that, so I'm reluctant to argue real hard about that, but I do understand the concept. I did do some research on, you know, Black women in the double minority status and everything. The hiring practices, it favors women, and that just goes to my point that there are structural things that pushes towards egalitarian. Now, I understand that you're trying to side. You're trying to make it white against Black to get me on your side and say, yeah,
because it is, and I want y'all on our side, y'all. Like,
all right, that's why I said you got to,
like, imagine a world where it's really Black men against Black women, and white people just standing by, like, oh man, that's interesting. Like, no, that's never going to be reality.
That's why I said I want you to talk to Dr. Tiasan Johnson, because he will go with you. He will go with you on a lot of that, but then he has the research behind him to really pick apart, you know, and I think y'all have a real good debate.
You know, I dropped out of my PhD program, so I know both of them brothers have read much more than me.
Yeah. I'm going to try to say, do you have an email that's accessible?
I will put it in the chat.
Okay, I'm going to email you. You're going to see my email. It's going to be called.
Actually, I do need to run out of here. Okay, I want you to get to this part though. Skip ahead a little bit. I'm gonna put my email in chat, but skip ahead a little bit. Let me see, because this is the part I really want. I want y'all to like two things to be true. I know we're not going to ruin everything
because we have this about how far I need to skip.
Shit, I can't see. You got the surprise.
It's at the 5 minute. It's about the 5 minute mark.
Damn. Go to like the 25-minute mark.
I'll just start right there, and I'll just sit back, roll it, and I won't even pause it if you say something crazy. I'm gonna let it rock. I'm gonna let it rock.
So I don't want to get into it. But if this man was not like a threat to the child and the mother, it is amazing to me. And we don't know. But if this is not the case, I don't know how else to explain that away other than being anti-male.
Wait, hold on real quick. RM, well, first off, you did put your email in the chat, right?
No, I haven't put it in. I'm gonna put it in when I leave.
You could just put it in
Okay,
the private
let me
chat.
do it.
Only I'll see it, and my
I mean,
administrator will
my
see it.
emails on my. I got some of y'all niggas been emailing me for a year. Let's not lose the fact that some of y'all are not the most well people.
That's why I said don't even put it in the chat, but y'all just put it in my private chat, and I'm gonna try to do what I can to try to facilitate to get a conversation going between you and Dr. Tiasan Johnson. But I know you want to get this point on the table, so I'll do it. So I'm gonna let it roll.
At its core, in that it's the belief that a man's contribution to a child is not important, and that his rights and experience as a father is not important to protect under the law. And that is something that is proven through the history of these laws. And I want to be clear, the reason for that is patriarchy. It is not hatred of men in practice. It is not the desire to limit the rights of men in practice. It is a desire to. I know. Just put me on 1.5 because I want to get to this next part and I got to get out of here.
Okay, all right, hold on. See, I'm Okay, I'm gonna play it while I try to figure out how to put it on.
It's the little gear. It's a little patriarchal system of gender norms where a man is a protector or provider who is not supposed to even be involved in child rearing, and a woman's natural role is to nurture and raise children. Bring up another quote that kind of supports and illustrates that. So this is another quote from a paper I got. Again, these will all be in the description.
I gotta get this research.
These societally imposed roles ensure the continued economic subjugation of women by requiring their dependence on men for economic survival. Following divorce in the forms of alimony and child support, as social etiquette demanded that mothers not work. Courts promoted society's prescribed stereotype of the women who did not work as weak and in need of state-instituted protection by upholding workplace legislation designed to restrict women from working beyond a certain amount of hours, frequently in industries deemed unhealthy to their alleged gentler constitutions or from working particular jobs. So, and this is really the smoking gun.
As you can pause it there.
We talk about why.
All right.
What I'm trying to get to y'all. Like we not gonna agree on much right now. I'm gonna keep on working on y'all. We're gonna see. Maybe there's value in me talking to Hassan and them. But if y'all could just step back and recognize that Black men were never meant to participate in this system fully. Never. We were never meant to be patriarchs. We were never meant to hold that much power. Some of us always have. Some of us always will. But as a whole, we will always be on the bottom of the system we exist in right now. So when these systems weaponize gender norms, they're always going to end up being weaponized against us. And Black women, in this one particular case, may benefit in that they have the court, the state on their side. But as a whole, the majority of Black women aren't getting any type of good treatment under the state. So when I say that they're trying to uphold gender norms and say, oh, women are too weak and too simple, 1950s housewives, as you said, for white men with money, for men of means, for Akon and Nick Cannon, they can have all these women living a 1950s housewife situation. But we got to understand Akon and Nick Cannon, while I don't have any like explicit hatred for them, other than I hate that their images are being exploited, them dudes are not really on our side. And we should be collectively prepared. We should be collectively rejecting these narratives that have us thinking we should access this type of patriarchal power because it's always going to end up being used against us. And this is a perfect example. Because when they put Black men,
wait. Should we not want patriarchal power? Like I'm trying to understand the system. Okay, right. The system has historically been against us. It has always been against us. But when you say that we shouldn't be trying to act, and I was about to just let you have the last words. I know you got to go. No. When you say we shouldn't be trying to access patriarchal power, is like that you lose me right there. Like,
I know
like
I do.
That's essentially saying that's like saying black. That's like saying Black men aren't men. This thing that men get to participate in, that ain't for you, boy. That's I mean, come on. Like
that's literally written into the law, though. That's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of like.
So what should we be trying to access then? If not patriarchal power,
we should be rejecting the whole system and coming together with our women and anybody in between right? I know you don't agree with that, but I just want to make sure that's put out there. And saying, yo, as a community, what works for us? Because if we keep chasing these myths, we're gonna end up doing what half of the content in the Black Manosphere is doing, which is, pointing out what's the light-skinned girl that just switched over to y'all side, Brittany Griner videos.
Brittany Renner. She didn't switch to our side, but
I thought she switched to y'all side.
I thought she was too. She trying to do like a little subtle rebrand, but she ain't on our side though. She ain't on our side.
What's the white girl name that
no, that's just Pearly Things. If I talk to anybody, I may end up talking to Mamiya first, because I gotta understand how this woman supposedly is the king of the Black Manosphere. If I can't be the king of the Black Manosphere, she's not. She's not. Basically, hold on. A lot of our pro-Black detractors started that bullshit narrative, and they ran with it. And Obsidian is the type of person to, whenever anybody throw a punch at him, he leans into that punch. Obsidian, Mamiya, Obsidian, Ali. Just make sure you know.
Yes.
He leans into the punch and owns whatever somebody say about him, and he makes that his stump speech. So no, she ain't the king. Like, put it like this: I never heard of her until she had like 600,000 subs. Then I blinked and she had 1 million. So she
subs don't mean nothing. That's another thing. Like, subs don't mean, like,
that's technically true, but
that's
either
not
way,
technically true. Like, that's algorithmically factual. The subs don't mean, like, that's why you go to, I heard Angry Man shot up to 300,000 subscribers off YouTube Shorts, right?
Yeah.
How many?
That's how I went from like 12,000 to now 30,000, mostly off YouTube Shorts. But my live stream numbers hasn't been affected that much. Now you do gotta, now that you got those people over there from the shorts, you got to figure out a way to get them from being the low attention span people that just watch shorts to come in to watch your live stream or your pre-records. So that is some work.
You're not gonna get that with like you're gonna get, like, let's be real, you got your diehards, right? Like, some of these dudes been here since 2008. And what's the dude name? The only one I truly like hate and despise, Sotomayor. So you got the OGs that's been here since Sotomayor, right? And then you got so you got the diehards that, no shade, but those dudes tend to be a little weird. And then you got dudes that they'll find y'all at 17, 18. They ain't getting no ass. They got dumped. They got cheated on, but they'll be gone by the time they 23.
I was trying to let you go. You gonna shoot some shots on your way out the door.
I can't just come through and be too cordial. I got a reputation to uphold. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to let you go.
It's fine. Go ahead, hit me with an intersectional feminist jab, and then we can.
No. I ain't even gonna throw a jab in the greater good of hoping that continued future conversations could be had. I'm gonna let you have that last jab, I'm gonna let you flip the tables over and then walk up out the house.
Good. I see what you did there. I rocks with it.
I'm gonna let you have that.
Gentlemen,
hopefully you respond to my email, because I'm gonna try to get you connected with Dr. Tia Johnson.
I will take it under consideration.
Come on.
But in all truth, like, in all seriousness, gentlemen, I really pray for y'all. I hope that whatever situation has brought y'all to the headspace y'all are in eventually leads y'all to, like, truly seeking unity with the women that are in a lot of these thumbnails. And even if it don't, I'm still praying for y'all. For real. That's the only reason why I'm here. All right. I gotta go.
Thanks for coming through.
Peace and blessings.
Appreciate it. Hey, if you like what you saw here today and you want to see more, click the link right here to this video. Bare minimum, if you're here and you're not subscribed, by all means subscribe, hit the like button, bang the bell, all that good stuff. You know what to do. Thank you. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.